All right, let's talk about the average retiree income and where we compare. There's a lot of things and factors that go into figuring out these numbers. Most of it is when taking your Social Security, possibly your 401k distributions, if you have a pension, all those things come into play when you're figuring out what your income is going to be. So it's not just about how much you have saved; it's how much you have coming and have to work with. So part of that, and one of the big things that I like to talk about, is for people to be debt free going into retirement. The last thing you want to do is carry any payments that you don't need into retirement. So right now, there's only 56% of us that actually are debt free when we go into retirement. That's not necessarily a good number when you consider that only 12% of those people are carrying a mortgage still. So that debt is not necessarily housing debt. It is cars, credit cards, student loans, store cards, whatever it might be. So keep those things in mind when you're figuring up your income and what you can do to make it better. Another piece of this is what the median 401k values are. And that number for people that are 65 is around $271,000. Is that enough to have a decent retirement on? Not without Social Security and not without possibly pensions, whatever. So those things fall into play too. But net worth is taking all of your assets into account minus the expenses or whatever debt may be on them still. So having a house payment takes away from your net worth, but it also takes away from your living expenses monthly. And that's why we want to be debt free if we can. So net worth number, if you own your house, can be dramatically higher. I think people need to remember though that a house is not a liquid asset. So you don't have $300,000 worth of, you may have $300,000 worth of equity, but it's not liquid. You can't use it unless you sell the home. So it's nice to when to have that inflated number for a net worth, but it doesn't mean much unless you got access to it. So for me, it's not so much about what you have saved, but what you can use and what you have there available when you need it. So another piece of this when we talk about adding all these income sources is what is the median income for somebody that's 65. Well, right now that number is $47,000, and I believe that is the married income yearly median, because typically when you consider singles, it's in the low 30s. Typically for married people, it's in the 40s and 50s, and that's because obviously they would have two Social Securities, possibly two 401ks that they're taking contributions from, and also possibly one or two pensions to work with. So those numbers go up monthly when you have two people combining and contributing. And one of the things that people don't plan for as well as they should when they're going into retirement, though, is what the cost of healthcare is going to be and how long can I sustain myself and my income on Social Security, especially if Social Security runs out or the amount goes down, because by 2035 401k, or I'm sorry, Social Security adjustment income is going to change if they don't do something about it. As far as fixing the system, making sure they make better investments so that money lasts longer and goes farther, so it's there for everybody. So healthcare expenses, how much are going to cost you every month, and Social Security benefits could change and could go up and go down. So you need to plan for those things as best you can. Most people underestimate how much healthcare is going to cost. And I'm not talking about just about paying for your Medicaid Part Bs and et cetera, but what your out-of-pocket expenses are going to be, what dental is going to be, vision, because our eyes get worse, right? And our health gets worse as we age, and we don't necessarily plan for that very well. So you need to be ahead of that game for sure. You don't want to spend the best years of your retirement getting sick or getting over injuries and trying to feel better. So you saved all that money and now you can't do anything. That would suck. So make sure you're taking care of your health right now, right away. Don't put it off any longer. Another thing I like to talk about here real quickly is just, don't put off your retirement because of the money. There has to be a point where you say enough is enough and I can make it work with what I've got put aside and what I've got saved now. of course, I would do things differently now if I could start over. And I'm going to make a video about that pretty soon, about things I would do differently if I could do my retirement planning over. But I'm only staying because my pension number is a 30 and out, and I have to wait till I have 30. If I had more money in my 401k, maybe I would consider leaving without the 30 and out and just taking the 29-year benefit. But that's not the case right now. So I have to stay because of that. Don't stay because at work because you're trying to make an extra $500,000 or you need to get out and have $2 million in the bank, whatever that number is. At some point, the money has got to be enough for you to finally go. All right. Keep that in mind. Thanks for joining me today. If you have any comments, I appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.